Dear students, I am going to deal with engineering drawing. I am Dr. B.V.R. Gupta. I am a retired professor from Andhra University Engineering College, Visakhapatnam. First of all, why we should study this engineering drawing subject? The language of engineers is engineering drawing. Therefore, one has to study who wants to become an engineer. You are not going to become doctors. Yes? No. Since you want to become an engineer, you should learn engineering drawing. So, this is the language through which you can express your ideas through drawing. So, if you know this engineering drawing, you can understand the drawings drawn by somebody else, or you can draw yourself. So that is the reason this subject being offered for all the students, irrespective of the branch you may choose tomorrow. Hence, let us start with the introduction. So, if you want to draw a good drawing, you need good quality instruments. So what are the various instruments? The first one is the mini drafter, which is an instrument used for drawing various types of lines, for horizontal lines or vertical lines or inclined lines. So another thing, to draw, you should have a drawing board. So this is the standard size of the board that is used in the colleges is as shown in the figure. That is 500 mm by 700 mm size. So drawing board to which mini drafter will be fixed. Then you need compass and divider. As you see in the figure, you have both big size and small size compass and divider. The purpose of the compass is to draw an arcs of any radius or circles. The purpose of the divider is either to measure the unknown length or to transfer from one place to another place any dimension. We use this divider, either small or big, depending upon the length you want to measure. So these are called engineering compass and divider. And next, to draw good drawing, one should have engineers drawing pencils. There are different grades, 2B, B, HB, 2H, H, like that. But generally you use HB, 2H and H. So to draw thin lines, medium lines or thick lines. And you should have a one good eraser or what you call rubber to remove the pencil lines or marks. Next, the drawing sheet. You are going to use the standard size 600 mm by 400 mm size, that is called A2 size. If you look at this figure, this gives AO size means 1 square meter. Drawing sheet of 1 square meter, that is called A0. Its A sides are 1189 by 841 millimeters. So if you multiply, you will get 1 square meter. So that is the A0 size. Half of it you call it A1 size, and half of the A1 you call it A2 size, and again A3 and A4 as you see. But in the colleges, we generally use A2 size sheet, that is 594 by 420 approximately. And you again have to prepare the sheet. Before you start doing problems on the sheet, you have to draw a border line as indicated, keeping some margin from the sheet. And again a title block wherein you give your details like your name and your branch, your roll number, sheet number, etc. Now coming, another important instruments you need is either to fix the drawing sheet, either you need clips or drawing pins or sellotape. But generally clips or sellotapes are used so that the sheet may not get damaged. So there are points given for a good drawing. You can go through these important points. And there are various types of lines, as you see in the figure, used for different purposes. Thick lines, medium lines, thin lines, dotted lines, and to represent axis, to represent section planes. So each line has got its own meaning. So these are the different types of lines you use in the drawing. And next, drawing is not complete without mentioning what it is, writing the titles and indicating the dimensions, etc. So you have to present these titles and dimensions also properly. And lettering, if you can have lettering two different types. One is in the vertical fashion or in the inclined fashion. Again, you have two types, both in the vertical and inclined. Single stroke vertical lines or inclined lines. So you can see both capital letters and also lowercase letters drawn in single stroke. Single stroke means you complete the letter either in a single stroke or more than two strokes. So that is at a stretch. What it means is, single stroke means at a stretch. So this should be done in a systematic way. And what are the precautions to be taken for good lettering? There are points given. All letters should have uniform thickness, and all letters should have of uniform shape and size, and all letters either should be vertical or inclined. Uniformity must be maintained, and letter to letter there should be some uniform spacing, etc. And there is another type of letters, Gothic letters. This is nothing but they have certain thickness. So the line will have certain thickness. These are generally used for giving the main titles, are used by Gothic letters. So you can practice these on a graph sheet. So dimensioning also, there is one systematic way of representing the dimensioning. And on the drawing sheet, you have to represent the actual dimensions of the object. For example, if you are drawing the plan of a room may be having 10 meters by 8 meters, but you may be adopting 10 centimeters by 8 centimeters on the drawing. But you should give the actual dimensions, not what you have adopted on the drawing sheet. So drawings should indicate the actual dimensions of the object. Please remember that. And again, dimensioning can be done in two different ways, as shown in the figure. One is called aligned system, another is called unidirectional system. So in the aligned system, you have to turn to read the dimensions, but in the case of unidirectional system, from a single place you can read comfortably all the dimensions. So generally unidirectional system is advised to be better. And arrowheads is also a systematic way of drawing the arrows, as indicated. The proportion, as you see in the figure, is 1:3, either by a single stroke or with hollow or filled arrows. You can see the various steps how you have to draw the arrows. Again, there are important points to be followed for good dimensioning. I can see the six various points that are given. Again, coming to, we use often, you must have used from your school days an instrument to use it for drawing lines, but we call that as a scale. But in the engineering, scale means different. It is not the instrument to use it to draw the lines. What the scale means? It indicates the proportion or ratio between the dimensions adopted for the drawing and the corresponding object. So, scale means it indicates the proportion. In what proportion you are reducing the dimensions or increasing the dimensions, or you are adopting the same dimensions as that of the object. That is what is called scale. So, this proportion can be represented in two different ways, either by means of writing a scale is equal to, that is 1 centimeter is equal to 1 meter, or 1 centimeter is equal to 100 centimeters, or 1:100. So, scale can be mentioned like that as shown at A. But another way of representing this proportion is by a representative fraction. It is indicated by RF. So, what is representative fraction? It is a ratio between the size of the drawing and the object. So, the numerator indicates the size of the drawing, denominator indicates the size of the object. Suppose you take 1 meter as 1 centimeter on the drawing, then 1 centimeter by 1 meter is the RF. So, but both must be in the same units. Therefore, RF is having no dimensions. It is a ratio. Just 1 by 100 you have to indicate. 1 unit on the drawing represents 100 units of the object. So, representative fraction is indicated by a ratio. Now again, generally you adopt 3 types of scales depending upon the object which you are representing on the drawing. See, all objects will not be of same size. If you look at the parts in your wrist watch, if you take your watch, there are so many parts inside. So they are very, very small, and you cannot adopt the same dimensions as that of the object. So in that case, you have to enlarge, increase the sizes. Sometimes if you are drawing the building, figure of a building, you cannot adopt the same dimensions again. So you have to reduce. But in certain cases, you can adopt the same dimensions of the object. So there are 3 types of scales. First one, reducing scale. There you are reducing the dimensions of the object. So that is what is called reducing scale. Full scale means you are adapting the same dimensions as that of the object. So there is no increase or decrease in the dimensions. So drawing is same as the object. Next is enlarging scale. Here you are enlarging. If it is actual dimension of the object is 1 millimeter, you make it according to your convenience, either 1 centimeter or 10 centimeters. So you are enlarging according to your requirement. That is called enlarging scales. So we have seen the different types of scales. So now please remember, after completion of any drawing, you have to indicate below what is the scale you have adopted. It is meaningless if you come across a drawing without mentioning the scale. it is as good as writing an exam without writing your roll number. Therefore, one should give, after the drawing is over, what is the scale you have adopted for that particular figure, or if you have adopted for all the figures you have drawn on the sheet the same scale, you can write commonly at the bottom of the drawing sheet. So one should remember that they should write the scale or in the form of RF. So that is very important. Then only the sheet will have meaning. Now coming to, before we go into the subject, one should have studied these things. They are called some important geometrical constructions. You must have studied in your elementary classes how to bisect a line. Here in the figure you may see bisection of a line, how to divide a line into two equal parts, and also how to divide an arc into two parts. So you have to take, suppose you want to divide AB into two parts, that is called bisection. You take some radius more than half the length of the AB, take A and B as centers and draw two arcs, and the points of intersection of the arcs you join, that will bisect the given line. Similarly for the arc also. So this is how you bisect a line. Next, how to bisect an angle. Suppose there is an angle between two lines. We want to bisect the angle. Just take a common point as you see in the figure, O as center. Take some radius, draw two arcs which will cut to OA and OB at 2 points. Take those 2 points as centers. Again with the same radius, you draw two arcs. The point of intersection will give you the point C. Now that point C you join to O, that OC line bisects the angle. So these are very important, simple, which you must have studied, but you now make use in the coming chapters. Another important thing is how to divide a given line into required number of parts. So suppose you have 10 centimeters line, you can divide into 10 parts easily. If you have 5 centimeters line, you can divide into 3 parts or 2 parts. But always it is not easy to divide a line into equal number of parts. So you have to adopt a method as shown in the figure. Suppose AB is having some length which you want to divide into 5 equal parts. So you draw one line AC at some angle. On that AC, you take 5 convenient parts of equal length. You choose some length, you mark 5 equal parts on that. Then join the last point 5 to B. And then from 4, 3, 2, 1, you draw lines parallel to 5B. Then on that AB, you will get 1 dash, 2 dash, 3 dash, 4 dash, giving you equal parts. So this also is very important in the coming chapters. You come across to divide a line. So one should remember these things. Next, another important construction is how to construct a polygon. First of all, what is a polygon? A polygon is a plane figure having 3 or more number of sides, and all the sides must be equal. That is called a polygon, and it is named depending on the number of sides. So if you have an equilateral triangle, it is a triangular polygon. If it is having 4 sides, it is a square, you generally call it, or 5 sides, you call it as pentagon, 6 sides, you call it as hexagon. So this is also very important in the coming chapters. Often you may have to construct a pentagon, especially pentagon. But square, equilateral triangle, you need not go for this special general method. So let me explain the construction of a polygon of 5 sides, that is a pentagon. Suppose a side of 20 mm is given. Say here you see AB, you take whatever length of the side is given, you take AB, then you erect a perpendicular at B or A, here it is erected at B, take and mark BP is equal to AB, and then join A to P. Now take AB, draw a perpendicular bisector as discussed earlier, and then you join A to P. Next, take B as center, with BA as radius, you draw an arc BP. So this perpendicular bisector will cut the diagonal drawn AP and the arc AP at 2 points, that is at, you name them as 4 and 6. Why 4 and 6? Point 4 indicates the center of the square and point 6 indicates the center of the hexagon. That indicates the number of sides of the polygon, and that point indicates the center of it. Therefore, next, if you want a pentagon, take the midpoint of 4 and 6. So find out the midpoint of 4 and 6, you call it as 5 if you want to draw a pentagon. So take point 5. Next, join point 5 to A or B, take that as radius, you then draw a circle. On that circle, you will have the remaining points of the pentagon. So this is the circle for pentagon, and on this circle now you take B as center, with BA as radius you draw an arc, you will get point C. Then with C as center you draw arc, you will get point D, and then you take again, you will get E, and with E as center you check up whether you get the point E. So if you have drawn correctly, automatically you will get point A at point A. So this is how you can verify whether your construction is correct or not. So this is, one should remember this method, but you may be knowing other methods of constructing a pentagon by using angles. But you check up which will give the correct polygon. So method is irrespective, but you have to draw the pentagon having all the 5 sides equal. That is important, and I advise you to go by this method, which gives rather correct. So here I have given some exercise to practice the instruments, how to use the instruments. So you can take up what are the different lines. Here, what you have you studied different lines, you can apply. And lettering you can practice single stroke, vertical or inclined. So you can just write your name of the institute or your roll number, your name, etc. You can use the Gothic letters also. So if this, by doing this exercise, you will be knowing how to use the instruments properly. And this also, this figure also, if you draw, you can practice how to draw parallel lines at equidistance or inclined lines. So this is just to practice for the how to use the various instruments, and also how to use the compass properly to draw the various arcs or circles. So you can take some suitable dimensions and practice perfectly how to draw. So thank you.